We are back for the third installment of the ABF Monthly on Fox Cities Core with Mark Motter. Mark, how are you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you doing, Andy? Great to see you back here, and can't believe it's been a month.
I know.
Everything's going so fast.
It has been going really fast, and you've done a lot of stuff since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, we've got some really fun stuff going. I'm going to talk about something for a minute that is not music related that we're going to be doing at the brewery, and we've actually paired with a bunch of other local breweries, and it actually looks like some of the other downtown businesses are going to be getting involved to help out too. But we've got Hopyard, the Vaults, McFleshman, Stone Arch, and Appleton Beer Factory all on board. We're going to be doing a dinner for the needy or those that could use a meal. We're not focusing on any demographic or group of people especially, but it's going to be Christmas starting at 10 a.m. to noon, serving the first 200 people that came through. We're starting it at 200. We're hoping it gets bigger and we can start making it. Actually, I mean, we hope it gets smaller, obviously, but we hope it gets more popular if people feel that they need it. But we're going to start doing this every Christmas and every Thanksgiving with the downtown breweries. And again, we got some local businesses that will be helping out. You're going to see more than that to come, but we just ask that everyone, when you see it, please get the word out there. We're going to try our best to make sure we get to the people that we need to for this, but very, very excited. That all came about. We started working on it around right before Thanksgiving, but we just weren't going to be able to make it happen in time. So we decided to wait, and we're going to do it for Christmas, and then we'll do it next year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So
that's a great way to give back.
Yeah, it is. It's especially at the brewery, we've felt very fortunate the last few years, and it's important that we definitely make sure that it's making sure that we're giving back. We try and do it through different ways and different means. We do a lot of donations and whatnot, but we also we felt this was a good opportunity to take it and move it to the next level. And very honestly, like the great part is trying to find volunteers for something like this was just not even a problem. Like, everyone wants to help because it's such a good cause, and we're excited about it. We're excited to see what it becomes too. So.
My friend Janelle said that's a great way to give back as well.
It is. It'll be a fun one, like I said. And then it was just great to see all the other businesses jump on. Appleton Downtown's actually going to get involved and help provide some sweets and stuff. We're looking at potentially having toys for the kids that come through as well, which would be great. We don't 100% have that piece locked down yet, but it is something we're working on. So,
if people have not tuned into this show before, it's a great way if they have a question for Mark or a question about the Appleton Beer Factory, questions about anything regarding a show or a memory they want to talk about or a suggestion. This is a great time to call in and ask Mark yourself or leave a comment as well. But phone calls, I think, would be kind of fun.
Yeah, we haven't had, I don't think, a phone call yet. So that would be, we have had a lot of write-in questions or type-in questions, but no phone calls yet. So I'm sure Andrew's probably got Andy's probably got the number flashing up on the screen somewhere.
Fact. So last time you were here, we talked about, I'll throw in as well. Feel free to call in whenever. It doesn't matter. You don't have to wait until a certain time. Just call in whenever. Last time you were here, we talked about Manic Mondays, which was something that was fairly new. You've done a bunch of these. The last one was yesterday. Tell me about how it's been going. Yeah,
so the ones we've had a couple of Monday shows in the fall. It was a good opportunity to kind of see how this was going to work. Both of them went well. Last night was great. I'm wearing my Mansfield t-shirt right now, if you're watching and not just listening. But it was fantastic. We had these guys through in May, and I mean, to see how they've improved in the last 7 months is just crazy. I mean, and these guys they were good when they came through in May. But man, they just keep getting better. And if you have not seen the band Feel, you are definitely missing out on an opportunity, because these guys are very similar to Zeppelin and Greta Van Fleet. That's the best way that I can really describe them. But man, are they good. And they had Candy Cigarette with them. I love those guys from out of Oconomowoc. If you're not familiar with those guys, they've been playing together since they're 12 and 13, a pair of twin brothers, and then their buddy plays drums. We didn't have the drummer last night. They had someone jump in, but normally they do have all three of them here, and they're all 15 and 16 now, and they also have a nice good 70s rock feel to them with a lot of their music. So if you haven't checked out Candy Cigarette, do yourself a favor. You'll see them coming through a lot more. I know I've got them on the docket already for Paperfest coming through on the Saturday of Paperfest. So
How much of Paperfest for that show, for that stage, do you have booked already?
I have almost everything booked. I've had almost everything booked since about 2 weeks after Mile. So I don't like waiting on that stuff. I don't like surprises. So yeah, sometimes you'll see that I get out in front a little bit on that kind of stuff. But I do like to, once we get it, start teasing stuff out too. We'll have our official announcements will come through, but if you're ever looking for some inside information, I won't necessarily say it all on the air, but you can always hit me up, and I've always got some little tidbits. But today we're going to get into some really cool stuff, because we're going to hopefully try and do this more regularly, is making sure that Code Zero Radio is getting some announcements before we actually announce them. These are all lock-ins. They're just shows that haven't been announced yet and are going to be announced in the next few weeks and next month. But
so you want to get into that now, or in a little bit?
Yeah, we could start that.
All right, hold on. Before we do, I've got a little intro.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Nice. I like it. There we go. So I've got a couple. So, we had one big announcement that came out over the last couple weeks. Chicago Farmer and the Fieldnotes. We'll be doing his record release on March 12th. And when people saw that show come out, like, if you love Chicago Farmer, like, he's always a great show. I don't miss him anytime he comes through the area, because he's so great at his, he has a lot of that Todd Snyder feel with singer-songwriter, and just a great guy to listen to, some great anecdotes. And, but people don't even realize who we have on that show with him yet. It's not necessarily support an opener. It's more of a split bill, but it is Chicago Farmers record release tour, so they're taking the main billet, but it's more of a split bill. We're going to have Miles Nielsen and the Rusted Hearts on that show as well. So
that's awesome. That's
going to be a really fantastic lineup. If you're not aware, Miles and Cody are both really good friends. So I love trying to put together shows where the bands are friends as well, because it just makes for a better feel for everything. So I do work on that a lot when a lot of times when bands are headlining, I'll say, hey, who would you want to play with? Like, I don't try and push bands into it. Like, there are a lot of bands that I'll have ready to go, but I do like to hear who the bands feel that they fit best with, and it just leads to a really good show.
So when was the date on that show, Mark?
That one's March 12th. So that is a good one. That is going to be amazing. So I would say that one's already on the books and been announced. It's just the addition that we didn't really talk about yet. So we have the one coming with Kenny Fielder and Kellen Smith, which is already on the books in January. We don't have a lot of shows in January. We normally don't, just because it tends to, after the holiday season, kind of be a little bit slower. We will have 2 Manic Monday shows. We'll have the 11th and the 25th. We should have both of those, should both be Monday nights. I'm doing it off the top of my head, so I apologize if I got the dates wrong, but those Mondays around those dates are going to both be Manic Mondays. We don't have all of those bands locked in yet, but we're hoping to have that in a little bit. I do have a bunch of our February bands starting to get locked in for the Manic Mondays. But then we can get into some really big announcements. So this one you'll see tonight. That will be coming out after the podcast. We have a really awesome bill. Marina City, Fox Royale, and Scorched Waves is coming on February 6th. That's going to be a fantastic show. Marina City always does great. Fox Royale, we haven't had Fox Royale through outside of Mile in such a long time. I just can't wait to get them back through. Those guys are always great and pull really well. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people at that show, and it's going to be important you get tickets quickly. They will be going on sale tonight. So I don't have 100% of the time, but keep watching your Facebook. As soon as I get it posted tonight, it will be out and active. We will be making a few other announcements this week. So one of the announcements this week that you're getting today, you might have seen this. I think they announced the tour on their end, but we've got Them Coulee Boys coming again on February 20th.
They always do great, don't they?
They are the only band that has sold out every time. So if you're waiting on tickets for this show, you're always silly because these tickets are going to sell out. These guys are great. They always put on a fantastic show. And we're going to be having Eddie Danger with them. If you're not familiar with Eddie Danger, he's played a lot of the festivals in the area. He'll be at Ice Dance about a month prior to that. And he's great. Eddie's a friend of mine, so it's gonna be great to see him. We were working on the Nether Hour for that, but that unfortunately didn't work. We're hoping to get them through at a different time, but Eddie's always a great addition to any show, and we've been trying to get him through at the brewery and just haven't had an opportunity to get him on stage too often. So we'll have Eddie coming through for that. Then we'll also be announcing a new band coming through called the Filthy Heathens. This is going to be on March 7th.
What kind of music?
This is rock. It's going to be rock, country rock style. And they're actually going to be playing with a band that I enjoy a lot, that I'm excited. This will be their first time at the brewery, is Free Dirt from the area.
Yes. So
that's going to be great to have Free Dirt on that with these guys. But yeah, Filthy Heathens have never been through. I think that's going to be a really good show. If you got the time, check that show out for sure. And then we have another one that'll be getting announced on Thursday that these guys came through with. Who did they come through with last year? Bermuda Search Party. They're called Pump Action. They're really fantastic. They'll be coming through with a band called the Renegade, and that is going to be in March on the 19th as well. So that one we'll be announcing as well this week. And then here's another one that if you were at Mile, we don't have this one ready to be announced. It'll probably be next week, but we're looking at bringing Mickey Vicki back from Florida. They were awesome at Mile. If you love brass band music, or if you love horns and that style music, and that jazz rock feel or pop jazz feel to it, I think you should be at this show. They're coming with my cousin's band out of Minneapolis, Funk and Spuds, who this will be their third time playing at the brewery. Those guys are always full of energy, so that's going to be another really great show, and that one's coming up in March as well, on the 21st. So that's a couple days after the Pump Action and Retrograde show.
So that's quite a lot of shows just dropped there.
Yes, and we have more. So I'm going to tease one out to you. I have one for May 30th. I can't tell you the artist yet, but I will give you this clue. This artist was one of 3 bands that just recently performed at another venue outside of ours with a Grammy-winning artist within the last month. So it should be easy to figure it out if you're familiar with the live music world and what's going on in the area. This was a pretty big show, came through not at ABF, at another place that's in the downtown-ish area, kind of down by maybe the Lawrence Bowl, if you know what that is. So I'll give you the place. It's Poplar Hall. So, but yeah, there was one he was the person in the middle of the 3 bands, and we've had him through before with a full band. This will be our first time we'll have him as a solo artist. But if you haven't seen this guy, get tickets. It is going to be great. But mark it May 30th when you see that show pop up. That's the show I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen him, he's definitely. I actually saw a post from like a Tyler Childers friendly page that put a bunch of pictures out that said, if you're too cool for the Nashville sound. And this artist was one of the guys on that, which I thought was awesome. So it's going to be a great show again, May 30th. So
Just you talking about shows that are taking place in May get me excited because I know the winter is going to be over by then.
Yeah, and we'll add a bunch of shows, for the spring and whatnot before then. But I'm definitely looking at what we're going to be doing. I mean, we're booking. I've got a big one potentially. Hopefully, be able to crack the lid on that one coming up here, but I'm looking at a September show, which will be my first show outside of the brewery. That will be it will be in conjunction with Appleton Music Factory, but it's going to be at Tanner's, so I'm hoping to get the lockdown on that one here in the next week or so, and that's going to be probably one of the bigger shows it's definitely going to be one of the bigger shows I've done because we can do about 1,000 people there, but that's going to be a pretty amazing show if we get this locked in the way it looks like it's going to happen. So
maybe you can tell me what it's like to book shows at a place like Tanner's versus the Appleton Beer Factory. Do you get as much freedom as you get booking at the Beer Factory?
Travis is who I work with over there. He's actually on the Outagamie County Tavern League Board of Directors with me, so I have a great relationship with them. For them, it's all about getting the space ahead of time and having enough enough lead time on it because they fill up so quickly on spaces over there because they have, some pretty big spaces, and there's not a lot of great spaces in the valley for events that are the size of what they can do. So it tends to fill up quick. So this one I was on right away, so he's holding the date. I'm just waiting to hear back from the bands. But yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff. I got to bring in a stage. The sound is way more expensive than what when I would run it at a brewery. So all those costs have to get figured in, and a lot of what I've been doing the last couple of weeks is getting all those prices in line so that I know I can go to the band with a confidence in knowing what I've got going into the show and what I need to do to make the show work. But, and then the great part is most of the agents that work with me on the regular know that I'm putting that legwork into it ahead of time, so they're not just like walking into a blank slate.
Mark Motter from the Appleton Beer Factory. And again, you just gave us a whole bunch of shows that are coming to the Appleton Beer Factory and beyond the Appleton Beer Factory.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, it's actually funny. I was on a phone call today. There's a cool venue that's opening over in Oshkosh, I heard. It's a train depot, so I'm going to hopefully we're working on potentially working with them a little bit and see. Well, I mean, it's just ground floor, but we like to get our wing, or we like to spread our wings a little bit and get involved in some of those other things. And with the new venue coming on that's that close, like there's always opportunity to do a lot of different fun stuff together. So
we haven't talked about it yet, but what is it like scheduling shows this time of year, because you're up against weather possibilities and possible cancellations? When you're booking a band, is there something written in where if the show has to be canceled because of weather that you aren't out of payments and not to get too in the weeds, but
and very honestly, like I think we've only had probably one show that really got canceled due to weather since we've been doing shows. I mean, obviously that kind of stuff can happen, and there's stuff written into the contract for that. Most of the time, I find that the contract at that point really becomes less of a point, and it's more about working with the parties to find out what's going to be the best solution, right? We don't want someone traveling all the way up here and then not getting paid just because of the weather. So, like, there's definitely different levels to contracts depending on the level that, the level of the band you're working with, on what that looks like. But yeah, there are outs for that, but we try and do everything we can to not get to that point, whether it's a reschedule or something along those lines, because people, anytime we have to cancel a show, it's terrible because the people lose their fees. So you're going to lose your fees. We can't give you the fees back once those are done. So we try, and it's just, I feel it's better for our customers if we find an opportunity to be able to move those shows or just find a better follow-up date. And one of those was actually Them Coulee Boys one year, and it was moved from February to May. And that's how we dealt with it, because it was a sold-out show, and it was one of those things. But then you got to be cool too and just try and work with people. You don't want people getting upset because the show moves and then they can't get their ticket. And even though it says it in the fine print, right, we normally try and find ways around that. A lot of times it's not necessarily returning tickets because, again, you lose your fees and whatnot. A lot more times I'm more prone to try and trade for a different show with them, like find out another show and send them a set of comp tickets or something like that so that we can not take away from the bands, but also be able to offer a reasonable option to our customers so they're not losing money on those opportunities. But a lot of times, too, on those situations, we will let people return them as long as they understand they're not going to get their fees back. So
what would it take to call off a show?
Hell or high water for me. That show that we canceled with Them Coulee Boys, I think we got 13 inches that day or something. And it had started in the morning, and by noon we had 6 inches.
And you're hoping and praying that it stops.
Yeah, and it's there's a point where you just have to make the call. And it was just a point where we're like, these guys are coming from Eau Claire. They hadn't left yet. I'm like, there's no reason they need to do this. It was about the time they were going to be leaving to come down here. And at that point, who knew? Depending on the roads, it might have taken way longer to get down here. So we just made a call. But again, I think most of that is really just keeping everyone involved and finding out what's right. There's other shows that we decided not to cancel because there were people that decided to come, and we knew there were going to be people at the show, and we didn't, want to cancel a show and then have those people not be able to see the show. And a lot of times, if you've got a local band, that works a lot better because it's a little bit easier for them to get in town. A great example of that recently was Iftikhar when we had snow a couple weekends ago, and it would have been easy for us to call off that Saturday night show. I actually left it up to the guys. I said, this is your call because, we're probably going to have 25, 30 people, and that's what it's going to be. And they came and they just did a little bit of a shortened set on it, and we still, everyone had a great time. So, again, there's a lot of different ways to skin a horse, as they say, and I don't know if that's okay for us to say that. I don't know. They know there's things we can and can't say, but or maybe that's skin a cat. Anyways, or
horse is bigger.
Horse is bigger, so it's going to take more time.
That's a good point, though, because the artists are traveling, and in the case of what you're booking, some bands are on tour, some bands are coming from Eau Claire.
So I can give you another great example of one where we didn't. And it was a really dicey time. It was New Year's Day of 2022. We were supposed to have, or we did have, DOG. It was the first time we had ever had DOG through. And so if you know anything about me, DOG is one of my favorite bands. So if they're telling me they're coming, we're going to have the show. I don't care if it's me and two of my buddies there watching the show. It's going to be a great show. So, so that was the time of year when, if you remember, it was a really weird time for restaurants and music venues and stuff because people were getting COVID and things were shutting down and then it was opening and it was just a really weird time. So Majestic was supposed to have a show on New Year's Eve with them, and they had gotten all the way to town, and Majestic and Madison had canceled the show, which they had every right to do based on the situation. So not to, throw shade at the Majestic. But the guys had already, they were already up here. They were in Chicago at the time. And their agent, David Helmer, who's, someone I have a lot of respect for and great guy who's based out of Lexington, Kentucky, he calls me up. He's like, do you want that? If we come up, are the guys going to play? We just don't want them to come all the way up there and not play. And I'm like, if they come, they're playing. We ain't closing down. We have told everyone to be safe. Don't come if you're sick. We've been doing everything we need to. Everyone will be socially distanced, and we'll make sure it's part of it. But if they're coming to play, we want them to be here to play. And it was, it was very easy for bands and for music lovers alike to get very depressed during that time because there wasn't a lot of live music and there was a lot of that happening. So we did feel that it was the right move for us at that point to do the show. And it was a great show, one of my favorites that they've done. And the guys had an amazing time. It was awesome. And we would do it again. And we never want to push forward with a show if it's unsafe. For that one, it was, come to the show if you can walk to the show or get here, quietly. But the main reason that we didn't, that people that were looking to cancel that show was more because of the COVID thing. The COVID piece was there was a little bit of a resurgence, and we just made people wear masks, and we did the responsible pieces. But if people want to see music, I want to create a safe environment for that to happen. But we also don't want to press our luck there either. So,
and we've had a lot of comments from Janelle. But I mean, Janelle's a good example of somebody that goes to a lot of shows. And do you get a lot of feedback from someone like Janelle as far as things you can do differently at the beer factory?
Absolutely, and I love Janelle, and Janelle knows that we always love hearing from everyone, and sometimes the challenge of that is you get a lot of unsolicited information, but honestly, part of that is where some really good stuff comes out of. So, sometimes something might be in a blind spot for you, and have being open to realizing that you're not omnipotent and you don't know everything. It's pretty easy to find good ways to improve on your business if you listen to your people that are coming through. So we spend a lot of time, like if someone wants to talk to me about a show and I'm not in the middle of something, or talk to me about bands coming up, I tell people all the time, like, send me messages. Like, if you want, the worst way you can get me to look into a band is by just telling me to my face, because I'm probably not going to remember. I have a really good memory, but I'm probably not going to remember. I'm just going to be honest. So, like, I always tell people, send me something. I'm very open. Send it to my personal email. Send it to ABF, to one of our Facebook accounts. I'm always monitoring that stuff. And there's been a lot of shows that we've brought through because of recommendations from people that I either know or fans that come through. So,
well, and how many submissions from bands are you getting to book a show there?
So it's, that is very subjective a lot to the time of year. I feel like there's times where we get a lot more. I was just messaging how this spring seems a little bit lighter than what I've normally seen come through. We're going to have a lot of great shows, but I do feel like cost is a lot when it comes to touring for these bands. And that's why, we've done some things to make sure that we have a good number of people at every show, and we're continuing to build on those ideas, because here's the deal, like, they have to have a number of like decent venues that they can stop at, or they just can't do a tour. So it is important. I think, we look at it, it's not just about increasing tickets for one show. It's about how do we increase awareness? Are we pricing tickets too high? Are they too low? I know sometimes, people might think they're too high, but on the same token, if you haven't heard us talk about this, 90% of every ticket dollar that we take in minimum goes back to our bands. So the money's going to a good place. And the bands will tell you that. And in a lot of cases, I pay the bands more than they have coming. And we do that because we think it's important, and we understand it's not easy to be a touring musician out there, and there aren't a lot of safe haven spots that musicians can stop and always know that they're going to get taken care of. So we've really tried to make sure that our name is synonymous with that. I don't even know if I answered any question that we were talking about. I just started rambling there. Sorry.
No, you did. And there's artists that do come through that say they're going to come through again. Are you actively chasing these people down, or just waiting until they reach out? Like, however you say it again, Alan Johannesson, or
Elaine Johannes, yeah.
You mentioned coming back with his full band. Have you heard back from him?
So I reached out to his agent, Scott. I don't know. I haven't heard much about that, but yeah, so there's bands that I always expect to hear from. They're coming through once a year or so. So like, if I haven't heard from someone in a while, I'll reach out, but I try not to push it too much, because again, if you got a good relationship with their agents and with these agencies, they remember you. They remember that you've got a good spot, that the bands do well there. So they're gonna keep on that kind of thing. And a lot of times, I don't want someone always using our stop as necessarily an anchor. Like, I'm not opposed to it, but there's probably other shows that they can get where they can make more money. So sometimes it's better for us to kind of just wait for the right opportunity and everything to fit in. Now, if it goes too much longer and I see that we don't have as many shows for spring as I want to, I'll start reaching out at a heavier level. But normally things work themselves out pretty nicely. And I always, sometimes I get trigger happy about, or like I get trigger worried about pulling the trigger too fast, because I've had really good opportunities on really good shows that I've lost because I've had something booked too early too. So there's definitely a little bit of a, I mean, you have to be, part of it has to be, you have to be lucky, and you just have to be right place at the right time, and the band's looking for it. That you can get some pretty cool opportunities that way, but on the same token, you can't be too complacent, or you end up with a whole season with not enough shows, and we don't want that either. So
that's something I didn't think about, is booking too early. And then you're right, if somebody's coming through on a tour, and they've only got a certain amount of dates that'll fit. If you already have somebody booked, well, you can't accommodate.
It's a challenge, and actually, I'm working on it. I've talked to a lot of people about this. I'm working about bringing Tony Levin and Stickman back, and honestly, that's kind of something we're running into with that one. Is we have shows around the time that they want, and now it might be a matter of, if we can't get that day, we might not be able to get them this time around. So, the good part is, as long as they realize that you still want them coming back, you're probably going to see that bounce back at some point. But unfortunately, it happens all the time. Like, there's times, and it sucks because you have someone booked already, and like, in some cases, really good artists booked, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this guy's awesome, but holy crap, we could have had a sold out show. Like, and those are unfortunate, right? Because the sold out shows are good for us for a lot of reasons, and we're not just looking to do sold out shows. I mean, we would love to, but it's just not the reality. But it's just those shows help us ensure that the shows that aren't as heavily attended kind of fit into the ebb and flow of everything that we do. So it's important to have those shows to be able to make the numbers work and everything like that. So I think that's another piece of it that I'm always thinking about too, is, if we miss on those shows, like, what are we going to get that is going to bring in that kind of tickets to another show that is going to help us? Again, some of these shows, that's how we're able to make sure that all of the artists are getting taken care of, and not just ones that come through for a sold-out show. So,
I feel like I learned quite a bit this month, Mark.
Oh, did you? Good. I always like to learn something new every day. So I'm always happy if I can teach you something, I guess.
We one of these days we need somebody to call in, so we're gonna have to do some ticket giveaways or something to get.
I think so. Like, I mean, and that's a great idea. We should, maybe next month we'll do that. I'll have some tickets ready to give away, and we'll give them in to people that are calling in versus typing in, so that we can get some interaction on these and see how that goes. But I know there's out there people listening, and sometimes you can't listen live, and we understand that as well. But it is a great opportunity to get some of the questions that you have answered, and if you've got an idea or something like that too, that's always a great time to launch that, or let us know what you think about it, or let us know what you're thinking. So,
and as we do every week, is there a place people should go to find out more about what's going on at the beer factory?
Our website is, I'm always going to utilize as probably the best stop, because our website is very user-friendly now. We're actually going to be adding a really cool area. You're going to be able to get a ton of different style of merch through our place that we don't offer right now, and you're going to be able to order it right offline. So this is going to be a cool new feature that's coming as well. So, but check out, if you haven't seen our new website, real easy to use, real easy to find your way around. We are looking to continuously be updating that piece as we go, but that's always a great place. Otherwise, Facebook is Facebook events is always updated with what we've got coming up, and they're also, it's the nice thing about the Facebook is you're going to catch other type of events that we have coming up outside of music as well. So last weekend we had the Eclectic market, which always does well. It's a super niche holiday market. Emily does like 3 or 4 markets with us throughout the year. and just does a phenomenal job setting it up. She always has a ton of people coming through, and if you ever see the Eclectic Market pop up, there's actually been a couple of times where we've had people doing tattoos in the building up in our upper event pub room during the events too. So some really cool stuff that we're looking to do, and we've got some more fun stuff. Some of it's going to be a little kitschy, some will be fun, some of it's going to probably, seem like a dad set it up because I'm a dad now. So that's, but we've got some cool ideas. We do have, and I talked to Andy a little bit about this. We're working on something that is like on anything that we've ever done. And I know, we always do take there are times that we're going to do things like a cover show. We're working on a big one for February. Did I talk about that one yet? The Weird Pals.
I don't think so.
We are working on, so this is going to happen in February. February or March, we haven't picked out the date yet. But we are going to be working to bring through Weird Pals, which is a Weird Al Yankovic.
Actually, last month you did mention it.
I did. Okay, so that one is really, really getting close at this point. I'm hoping on a call this week to lock that in. But that's going to be pretty amazing. So if you haven't seen that, that'll be our first, outside of our New Year's Eve show or something like that. That'll be our first cover show, and it's a cover of a cover, so it's kind of fun. That way.
Who doesn't want to see Weird Al?
Weird Al is, I think it's so funny. People don't realize just quite how big he is, especially among musicians. People love Weird Al. He's his own style, and he does his own thing, and you gotta always applaud people for that. And so that will be really cool. But that's 5-part harmony to Weird Al Yankovic, and these guys are all original music artists. Some of them: Andrew Leahy, Dylan Seavey from the Minx, the drummer. So these guys are they've played in a bunch of other original music bands, but they have this Weird Al band. So we're really, really excited to get a date locked in on that. But we're looking end of February right now is what we're looking. So hopefully that all goes well. But then the other thing, and we're looking Q1, Q2 on this. This is going to be really interesting. So K-pop is a huge piece right now, and I do not know a lot about K-pop, but one of the things I always pride myself on is being open to different styles and different things that are happening. If a lot of people like it, now this isn't always the case, as we found out recently. Just because everyone gets behind everything, it's not always awesome. But a lot of times, if there's a lot of people that get behind it, there's a product there, and and we like to look at different products. So actually, my agent that I work with for Lowdown Brass Band brought this K-pop idea. And this is going to be a K-pop rave, and it's going to be geared towards the more kids, high schoolers, but a lot of adults like K-pop too. So we're expecting this to go over really well. We're going to probably do 2 showings on the same afternoon. It's probably going to be a Saturday early in the day. And we don't have the dates locked in at all on this yet, but we are definitely, that is something we're looking at. So if that's something that you or someone that is interested in, the best part that I keep hearing is, my kids are going to love this. So this is going to be a great opportunity for mom and dad to come out and have a beer while the kids are raving to some K-pop. And and I've seen the videos and stuff. It's pretty impressive. So I'm really excited to see how this kind of works out. And it's one of those things, you got to try it, see how it goes. And if it goes well, if it's too cheesy, it's not something we'll do again. But I have a feeling, based on where this is coming out of, that it's probably going to be done pretty well. So,
well, Mark, I always enjoy our time every month, and I'm looking forward to having you back again next month. AppletonBeerFactory.com. Go check it out and go to a show. Support what they're doing there. And
I don't think we're going to have a Code Zero show for January, just because we only have one show right now. But we'll be... Oh, sorry, I hit something and it made noise.
It was the bell.
Yeah, I hit the bell. Ding! It's me trying to get cut off. No, just, but we'll figure a way to make that work, whether we do 2 in 1 month or something like that. But it just wasn't a lot to choose from, and in that show that we do have on the books, I wouldn't really align it with Code Zero too much. I think there'll be better shows out there for that. So.
Well, thanks again, Mark. You've been watching the ABF Monthly episode of Fox Cities Core here on WCZR Code Zero Radio.
Thank you, Andy.